Okay there folks, I've got one for you now, a serious one. I found it quite disturbing is the wrong word, upsetting this one, I really did. Unfortunately for yourselves, you're going to be upset yourself because I'm going to have to put my mush closer to the screen, so I'm going to have to read something off to you. It'll be easier doing that than try to read it off a sheet. And I want to get it right word for word as I have read it. Something I read last night. And it's about old Ozzy there, Ozzy Osbourne, who I've always quite liked. You know, I mean, I think as a fella, he's okay. I'm not sure about Sharon, more about her later. But let me read this that I read yesterday. Many of you won't know this. Many of you won't have read this. The odd one of you may have done. And I thought it was really sad. I really, really did. I'm just going to put the bins on because it takes for a fair bit of reading. Take me about a minute or so. Stay with it and tell me what you think. Now, there is a swear word. Do they call it Anglo-Saxon or Norman swear word that's used regularly in this piece? It begins with F. Now, I know I can get away with many things in it, but we're not really that kind of channel. So we'll change it to frigging, or what do the Americans say? Freaking? Freaking. We'll go with freaking. We'll go with freaking, but you know what I mean. I think it fills in for that word anyway, but it's rather than use the word that we all know, and some of us often use. Anyway, let me click over to it, put the bins on, and I'll read it to you. I'm sorry I've wasted a minute of your time already, folks. I am. As I say, warning, coming closer to now. Coming closer to. Yeah, Ozzy was doing a bit of an interview with somebody on it to the day. And just without, it says unprompted whatsoever, he took a massive, massive, massive swipe at Geezer Butler, Black Sabbath's bassist, whatever you want to call it. And I mean a massive swipe. And I'm going to read it you word for word as I have just seen. Anyway, he says, now, by the way, you know Ozzy's not well. He's not been well for a number of years now. We know Sabbath have disbanded. They did the last shows 2 or 3 years ago, and that is supposed to be it for them. But anyway, I'll read it to you as I say. You do find out who a genuine friend is when you've been through what I've had, Ozzy told the Rolling Stone UK magazine. Tony Iommi has been so supportive of me since my illness. Geezer Butler hasn't given me one freaking phone call. Not one freaking call, he says as he has to scroll down. I do apologise. Ozzy continued. When his son was freaking born, I phoned him every freaking night, even though we were at war with each other, Black Sabbath and me. I thought, freak it. He's my mate, I'm going to call him. But from him, not a freaking call. Scrolling down again, folks. It's sad, man. We all grew up together. And he can't pick up the freaking phone like a man and see how I'm doing. Even Bill Ward, more about him in a minute, has been in touch with me. I said some things about Bill and I don't know why I said it. But when I came through my illness, he contacted me. With Rolling Stone noting that Ozzy looked genuinely hurt, the singer added, I'm not in shock, I'm just very freaking sad that he can't just call me after all this time and say, how are you doing, freaking asshole. Asked what caused the rift, Ozzy explained that it was Sharon Osbourne and Geezer's wife, Gloria Butler, who fell out. His wife and my wife had a falling out, Ozzy proclaimed. But that's got freaking nothing to do with me. Are you really going to hide behind your wife's skirt because of that? Ozzy Osbourne and Geezer Butler last shared the stage together on the 4th of February 2017 on the final date of Black Sabbath's The End Tour at Birmingham Genting Arena. Now, as I say, folks, I read that only yesterday and I was sad. I can move back now, I've read it. I was sad. Now, for those that don't know it, Geezer was the bass player, Tony Iommi the guitarist, and Bill Ward the drummer. The collective had a falling out with Bill Ward a few years ago and he didn't perform on the last tour and he was really, really hurt and really upset about it. They brought a substitute drummer in. Ozzy was one of the ones that fell out with him, then felt sorry for him, then fell out with him again, and as always said since the last tour, we should have never have dropped Bill out of it, we should have played with him. He was, after all, the original member. But they didn't. Ozzy and Tony Iommi have remained pretty close, that's the guitarist, since then, although they've had fallings outs along the way. I had read a couple of years ago now, I think, that Geezer had fallen out with Ozzy, and again, it's because of the wives, as Ozzy said, he's spot on there. Now, we did a little piece on Sharon only yesterday, and I said, for a change, she come across all motherly, all nice, and really rather warm, which is unlike Sharon. The Sharon Osbourne that I know, that I've seen on the TV over the last 15 or 20 years, not only has a lot to say, like do I, but she has a lot of really, really nasty things to say. She's really, really cutting. She tends to not listen to anybody else's opinion. She batters people verbally on a regular basis, often with no grounds to do it. She's not the nicest person in the world. And I'm saying that from a point of reading lots and lots of stories about her by lots of other rockers. There's been people that have been in the band with Ozzy Osbourne since he left Black Sabbath, the old Blizzards of Oz. They've all fallen out with her, and because of that they've fallen out with him and they've left the band. It's been a revolving door there. I've noticed before, is it Bruce Dickinson, I think the Iron Maiden singer, has had a falling out with Ozzy again over Sharon Osbourne, or she fell out with him and Ozzy don't talk. Many people like Ozzy, most people like Ozzy. Many people do not like Sharon. And it's alright for Ozzy, who I feel sorry for, because he has been ill, I do appreciate that, saying that Geezer shouldn't hide behind his wife's skirt. I think it's the other way about to Ozzy, really. I think your wife just throws grenades and just leaves a trail of debris wherever she goes. She has people falling out with her royally. Then because of that they fall out with you, or you take her side and you can't have anything to do with them, really. And because of that you're losing friends hand over fist. I think you're not so much hiding behind Sharon's skirt, although you're doing a bit of that, but you need to take Sharon in hand. You need to be the man in that relationship. Never mind calling Geezer for hiding behind his wife. I think the problem is your wife, and you need to get a grip of her. You really do. You really do. That's my opinion. But as I say, it's an opinion shared by many, many in rock. Absolutely many. She's fallen out with most everybody. Ozzy falls out with nobody. He's just a decent, normal, well, I wouldn't say he's a normal guy, but you know what I mean. I don't think he's got a bad bone in his body. I really don't. But Sharon, just not a nice person, no matter what anybody says, not a nice person. And I read it and I felt really sorry for him, because as I say, he's not been well for a long time. He's mostly housebound in America. He doesn't get out a lot. They're soon to move back to the UK. He's worried about coming over here and not having many friends because he's been over there for so long. Well, he's going to have less and less friends if Sharon keeps falling out with people. You know, I mean, I don't know that many know this, but I mean, most of the Black Sabbath songs, they're all written by Iommi and Butler. Iommi does all the musical stuff, and Butler does nearly all the writing. I think Ozzy has really bad dyslexia, so can't really write and formulate lyrics. All done by Geezer Butler in the main, so every hit that's got Ozzy where he is, Geezer's been behind. Geezer's been fantastic for Ozzy Osbourne, and it's just a shame that they've fallen out. Yes, it might be the wives, and often there's a six of one half dozen of the other. Geezer's wife might have, something to do with it, but I would suggest the aggressor has been Sharon, and Geezer's wife has given her a bit back, and Sharon's not like that because she's not used to people talking back to her and giving as good as they get. And I think Geezer's wife probably has, and pat on the back to Geezer's wife for doing that, to be honest with you. But no, I think Ozzy, I think your problem lies with your wife. I don't think it's Geezer and his wife. I think you'll find it's Sharon. As I say, when somebody has form for this, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it normally is. You know the crack dog, you know the saying. So anyway, I just thought it was rather sad. I really did. And that's it. Don't know what you think yourselves. Don't know what you think of Sharon. I don't know if you feel sorry for Ozzy. I do. I really do. He's not been well for a number of years now. And he's known Geezer for probably about 40, 50 years of his life. It's a shame that they're not talking, and the fact that they're not talking over the women in their lives is even more of a shame. But I'm not so sure things will change until Ozzy gets a grip there. I'm really not. But I might be wrong.